Hi there, Super Green Me's here tonight at the museum in Brisbane with the captain of the Sea Shepherd.
Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Paul Watson.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is going to be our 6th voyage down to the coast of Antarctica. And we've named our campaign. Every year we give the campaign a name. And this year we've named it Operation Waltzing Matilda. And the reason being is to really demonstrate our, our gratitude to the people of Australia for supporting us over the last few years in these campaigns. You know, in 1978, we were here in Australia fighting whalers. Australia was a whaling country. And now it's become the most passionate group of defenders on the planet. Australia is leading the way in that way. Not the government, the people. So for a country to go from a whaling nation to a defender of whales gives me hope that we can do the same with Japan and Norway and Iceland. And hopefully in a few years' time, they will be just as passionate about protecting whales and dolphins as the people in this country. I think that this is going to be our last year because the Japanese whaling industry is on the ropes economically. They're $100 million in debt. And the new Japanese government has said they're going to stop their subsidies, which means that without the subsidies, they're not going to be able to continue. And they're going to come down here this year and try and make a profit. They haven't made a profit for the last 3 years because of our interventions. They have to take at least 650 whales to break even. And they haven't been able to do that. And we're going to make sure they're not going to be able to do that this year, especially this year. We're not aiming for a 50% reduction. We're aiming for an 80% reduction this year, and hopefully better if we can. And because thanks to Whale Wars, for the first time, we're able to go down there with the resources and the equipment that we need to stay on them for the entire season. We won't have to bring the Steve Irwin back to refuel. And we just acquired one of the fastest vessels in the world, which is now called the Audie Gill, the former Earth Race. This vessel last year set the world record for circumnavigating the globe. And it did it in 60 days. It looks like the Batmobile, and it will be our interceptor. For the first time, we can stay on a harpoon vessel and stop it from killing whales. And last year, the Japanese used long-range acoustical devices against us, LRADs are called, which were designed to cause nausea and vomiting and everything. And actually, they just gave us bad headaches. But the company has actually given us our own. And it's 10 times more powerful than the Japanese units. So we'll be able to, we're not going to use it on them unless they use it on us, but if they turn on their LRADs, we're going to turn on ours. We also got some laser beams, too, that distract them. Sort of took that from, Dr. Evil, he says, get some sharks with some frickin' laser beams. But and we got other equipment that we're really not talking about, but this year we're better prepared than ever. We've always had a hard time getting crew to volunteer. Now I think we've had 1,000 crew applications because of Whale Wars, and the joke is that it's easier to get into Harvard now than it is to get onto the ship. And in fact, our crew application fee is $100 and Harvard's is only $50. So, but what that's meant is that we've got a really, really experienced crew. Our second officer, Bonnie Schumacher, she's actually a NASA scientist. So we got our rocket scientist on board. She's actually a laser physicist. So it's going to be a very, very well disciplined crew this year. And not to take away from all of the volunteers who have been on the voyages in the past, but it's going to be much more disciplined this time. And I think much more effective. And if we can make the Southern Ocean Whale Sanctuary a sanctuary, then we will have done everything that we set out to do, and I think we're going to do that. It has been a very difficult campaign. We're taking on a major nation, Japan, and they got a lot of clout. And we've been feeling it over the last year. Our ships fly the Dutch flag, and they're trying to get that flag off, and the Dutch government's been giving us a hard time over that. But fortunately, with the Netherlands, we're dealing with a country where the government does not have the power to remove a Dutch flag off a Dutch ship. They have to pass special legislation to do that, and that's going to take them a couple of years. But since then, the French government has come to us and said, well, do you want our flag? So if we do lose the Dutch flag, we've got the French flag. And of course, our flag is the Jolly Roger. When people say, well, you know, you guys are identifying yourself as pirates, how do you justify that? I said, well, we just take our lesson from history. Back in the 17th century, when piracy was out of control in the Caribbean, it wasn't the British Navy that shut down the pirates. There's a good reason for that. They were all on the take. Politicians, merchants, everybody's making a lot of money out of piracy, so piracy flourished. It was finally shut down by one man, Henry Morgan, a pirate. So if you want to stop pirates, you need pirates to do it. So we're pirates of compassion in pursuit of pirates of profit. Because when you really think about it, prime ministers and presidents and government, they're the biggest pirates of the lot. And in fact, I think Henry Morgan became a true pirate when he was appointed governor of Jamaica. But pirates have changed the world in the past. I mean, the founder of the United States Navy, who, by the way, happens to be the founder of the Russian Navy, so the two greatest navies in the world were founded by the same man, John Paul Jones, and he was a pirate, as were Sir Francis Drake and Sir Walter Raleigh. In fact, the only really bad pirate was Long John Silver, and he didn't actually exist. He was just a fictional character. And the great thing about our pirate flag is kids like it, so. We also fly another flag you might see if anybody's seen the show and everything. We fly a purple and white flag with a tree on it, a white tree on it. And we're the only two ships in the world that fly that flag. It was given to us in a special ceremony by the Mohawks, and that's the flag of the Five Nation of the Iroquois. And they invited us to Kanawaki Reserve to give us that flag. And the women of the Longhouse of the Mohawks came to me and they said that, you know, since other people are taking your flag away, we want to give you our flag. Unfortunately, it's not recognized, so we can't leave port with it, but we're proud to fly it. And I said something to them at the time. I said, you know, one of the things I learned from the Iroquois is that you don't make a decision in your life until you take into account the consequences on the next 7 generations. And she looked at me and she said, we didn't say that. Oh, okay, I thought you did. And she said, no, we said don't make any decision in your life until you take into account the consequences on all generations that come after you. So it wasn't the 7. I don't know where that, she said, I don't know where that number came from. But if we were all to live our life taking into account what the consequences of our actions are for all the people that come after us, 1,000, 10,000 years, if we get that far, then I think that would make a very big difference. So we'll see. But I'd like to share with you a story. Some people have heard this before, but why I am so passionate about protecting whales. And because the reason I'm alive today is because a whale spared my life. And that was back in 1975. I was with Greenpeace at the time. I was first officer on the Greenpeace voyage. And we had come up with this idea to save the whales by putting ourselves between the whales and the harpoons. We were reading a lot of Gandhi at the time, and we thought that, you know, all we had to do was get between the whales, and that it was the Russian whaling fleet, and that the Soviet whalers wouldn't risk killing a human being to kill a whale. We're feeling pretty good about that. And we found the Soviet fleet about 60 miles off the coast of Northern California. This was before the 200-mile limit. And Robert Hunter and I found ourselves in a small little inflatable boat in front of a 150-foot steel harpoon vessel bearing down on us at full speed in very rough water. And in front of us were 8 magnificent sperm whales that were fleeing for their life, and they couldn't get away from them. And every time the harpooner tried to get a shot, I would maneuver the boat and block his aim. And this worked for about 25 minutes until the captain on the Soviet vessel came down the catwalk and he screamed into the ear of the harpooner. Then he looked at us, smiled, and brought his finger across his neck like that. And that's when I realized Gandhi wasn't going to work for us that day. And a few moments later, there was this incredible explosion, and this harpoon flew over our heads and slammed into the backside of one of the whales. And the line to the harpoon came down. It was like a sword coming down into the water, missed us by a few feet.